What's up, men? Before this video starts, I need to plug in Self-Mastery Camp. If you want to talk with me on a daily basis, if you want to be a part of monthly discussions, monthly video discussions, if you want to be a part of a community that just uplifts one another, that holds each other accountable to being his best self on a daily and weekly basis, join Self-Mastery Camp. I'll leave a link to that in the description below. Hey, what's up, guys? So I'm gonna jump right into the video without adding too much fluff. I do want to preface the video with a couple of things first. I want to let you guys know that I did do a video on this a little earlier this year. I wasn't too thrilled about it, so I wanted to expand a little bit better on what has actually happened in these 3+ years since I've given up pornography. Two, it's really hard to determine, what is a result or a direct result of giving up pornography versus what is just what happens in life over the span of 3 years. So 3 years is a really long time, so I can't just say that every single thing is a direct result of me quitting pornography, but I'll leave that up to your discretion. I kind of feel that a lot of what I'm going to share with you does have quite a bit to do with me giving up pornography. And the third thing I want to add is the only measuring tool, not the only, but one of the most tangible measuring tools is the external circumstances that surround the individual. So I'm going to use a lot of surface type things that might make me sound like I'm bragging about some stuff. That's not my point. I'm actually just letting you guys know what has changed on the surface on a more material level, as well as eventually I'll talk about what's happened, internally, physical, mental, all that stuff. Let's just jump right into it. So the first thing I'll talk about is confidence. I have had a crazy surge in confidence over the past few years. It doesn't pertain to just one thing. I mean, I've had a crazy confidence boost in my relationships, women, with business, with so many things. The one thing that I'll talk about, and I'm not going to spend too much time on it, is I had the confidence to make a life-changing decision. The decision to separate ways with a business partner. Now, that might not sound crazy to you guys, but that business relationship was responsible for a lot of my wealth at that time. So by cutting that business relationship off, I was effectively stopping the funding of my life. I was essentially becoming entirely self-reliant, which is something that I dreaded. The thought of that was so dreadful to me 3 to 5 years ago. And I was able to make that transition to being entirely self-sustained and self-reliant. Now that kind of ties into my next thing, which is just the ability to believe in myself. I was riddled by self-doubt for so many years. Some of you guys might know the story. I'm not going to get into it now, but I didn't believe I was capable of doing anything. So that in turn affected my desire to take action towards things. So when you have when you have the belief that you can, or you believe in yourself, your actions follow. You then take actions as if you did believe. And so these past few years, I've taken so many huge steps that have just changed my life, all because I now believe that it's possible. I believe that I can do what I put my mind to. Next, I would talk about this surge in my willpower, my ability to just cut things off that don't serve me when I say. So let's talk about sweets and sugar. That's something that I have struggled with for the past 3 years. And I say struggled because really I enjoyed it and I didn't want to stop. But one day I said, you know what? I need to stop eating sweets. And I cut it off and just did cold turkey. Did not think about it, didn't have to go back. It was just done. That level of control or self-control is something that I have not yet had in my life up until this point. The ability just to cut anything that I don't want off and not worry about relapsing a day later. That level of self-control alone is probably more worth it to me than anything else that I'm going to talk about on this list. Next, brain fog, mental clarity are just through the roof. I don't have brain fog. I don't know how to better expand on that, but I don't have that funk, that cloud that just looms over your head when you are so stuck in your porn addiction, or when your brain is all mushy from just overindulging in pornography, the night before. It doesn't exist. It's like literally not there, and I don't know how much further I can go on that, but that is also one of the top reasons I think anyone should be wanting to give up pornography is just that mental clarity that you get. That kind of ties into the next thing, which is just an increase in focus. Now, I'm not going to say I have superpower focus because there are still times where I procrastinate. I am a human. But I will say, I'll give myself credit, I've been able to focus a lot better than I have in the past, and that's something that's worth mentioning. Next, I'll talk about my just desire to try new things has gone up a little bit. So I'm more willing to step out of my comfort zone, more willing to put myself in situations that I normally might not have. I'm not perfect at it, but it's definitely something that I've noticed, because I used to just be Mr. No, like no, I don't want to do that. Now I'm more adventurous, I guess, more willing just to explore new things. Partially because my mind wants more stimulation from the real world. The next two are higher energy levels and much better sleep. Okay, let me put it this way. I haven't been a terrible sleeper up to this point, but I sleep so much better, if that makes sense. I wake up feeling way more rested. I don't have that like deep, heavy feeling that you get after binging on pornography the night before, and then you wake up with that mental fog. Like, I wake up with clarity and I wake up with energy. And you're talking to someone who also doesn't drink caffeine. I don't drink coffee. I don't drink anything energy related. I'm just pure, all natural energy. And if you know me in real life, you know that I'm not like a sluggish person. You know that I'm extremely active and don't really struggle with energy levels. This one I struggled to put in here because I didn't want to say that this was a direct result of me giving up pornography, but I wholeheartedly believe that it is an indirect result as well as a side effect to giving up pornography, which is my blood pressure has gone way down. Give me a second. So my last blood pressure reading was 126/78. Now, I'm not joking. At my worst, my readings were averaging, just on average, like 180 to 185/90. That is dangerous. Now, how, you might be asking, would me giving up pornography affect my blood pressure? It ties into a few other things that I've talked about, but overall, my desire to just better myself, my desire to try new things, to get out there more, probably is what led me to lowering my blood pressure. So I noticed a huge drop when I started exercising more, and more specifically when I took up rock climbing, indoor bouldering. That is when I experienced the biggest plunge in my blood pressure, and I thought maybe it was going to be temporary, but here I am now. I haven't actually climbed in over a few months, and my blood pressure remains at its lowest that it's ever been. So again, it's not a direct result, but it's definitely as a result of engaging in this porn-free lifestyle. Another thing is that I get more pleasure out of the simple things in life. Now, this doesn't mean that like I walk out of my house and I feel like I'm on drugs, ecstasy, mushrooms, or something like that, but it means that more times than none, I am able to find pleasure, find peace within just the simple things in life, whether it be spending time with friends or watching a sunset, something like that. It's not exactly where I want it to be. I feel like I am still desensitized in a lot of ways, and that might not have anything to do with pornography, but I will say that I've had a noticeable increase in my just ability to be happy with simple things in life. This next one is something that I kind of touched base on earlier, but it's just an overall increase in risk tolerance. The one thing that I can talk about is the fact that I bought 2 houses in a little over 1 year. That's a scary thing to do because that is a lot of debt to get into. And I bought these houses with the intention of making money off of them, so renting them out to tenants. Successfully, I've done that on one house. I'm living in one house right now that I will be renting out soon. The point is, that was very scary. It was something that I knew I wanted to get into, but I was so afraid of like all the risks that come with having this much debt looming over your head. Not something that I would have easily done 3 to 5 years ago, for a fact. Like, I know that much. But again, if you want to look at the overall sum of my life now, you can see that these are things that I'm doing that I ordinarily would not have been doing a few years ago. Me owning 2 houses and being a landlord right now is like still crazy to me, but this is what I want out of my life, and I understand that the road to getting to where you want is not always peaceful and pleasant. The next one I would talk about is this profound realization that my life is my choice. I've talked about this before in other videos. I've known about this, but it wasn't until taking massive action in these past few years that it became so much more apparent to me that if I want something in my life, it's up to me to get it done. It's up to me to take the actions. No one is going to do anything for you. And I've become more aware of this idea that I've known for a while, that my life is nothing more than the sum of all of my choices. That's it. So if I want more, I want different, I want better, I need to do more, I need to do different, I need to do better. It's all up to me. And that's become way more increasingly true over these past few years. This one is one of the most overlooked, but also I believe one of the most powerful benefits to all this, which is not thinking about pornography. I don't think about it anymore. But more importantly, I don't think about not thinking about it. I've talked about this in other videos. I'm saying it again because it's important. I don't have the burden anymore of wondering if I'm ever going to relapse. I don't have the burden of counting the days that it's been since I've been on this journey. I just don't have that mental burden anymore. It is a complete non-factor. It's not a part of my identity anymore. I can't even relate to that guy who 3 to 5 years ago plus was like so lost in this addiction. I can't relate. I don't know where he was mentally. As a result, I don't have his burdens anymore, his mental burdens. And I think that mental freedom is probably my top 3 benefits from this whole thing, is just being free from that mental torture. And it's hard for me to articulate, but I know you guys know what I mean, and I know that a lot of you are going through that right now. And the last thing is, I have just such a freeing feeling knowing that something like pornography has no control over me whatsoever. Actually, I don't have any vices anymore. It used to be sweets, that was the last thing, but now I have no vices that I'm aware of. There's nothing that I do on a daily basis that is destructive to my physical, mental, and spiritual well-being. No coffee, I'm not addicted to sex, I'm not addicted to porn, I'm not addicted to sweets. Like, there's nothing that I do regularly that is destructive to my well-being. And just knowing that makes me feel like I'm in this rare 0.001% of people who are truly free from the vices that are out there in the world that are designed to kind of keep us weak. That's it. That is all that I have for you. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that this video helps at least one of you. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up or share the video. Anything that you do will greatly help this channel. I really appreciate your guys' viewership, and I'll talk to you in the next video. Peace.